Don't let YouTube decide what information you get. That's your choice. YouTube is deleting our videos and cuts you off from a source of honest reporting. Make sure you don't lose access to NTD's news content, and take a quick moment to subscribe to our newsletter so no matter what happens here, you'll keep your access to a trustworthy news source.
Organizations and clinics that receive federal funding will soon be able to refer women for abortions again. On Monday, the Biden administration reversed a Trump-era rule that barred the clinics from receiving funds from a family planning program known as Title X. Abortion advocates referred to the Trump administration's policy as the gag rule. Beginning in October 8th, clinics receiving Title X federal funds will be allowed to promote and refer women for abortion as a method of family planning. The Secretary of Health and Human Services said in a statement that the move is a step forward for family planning care. Title X offers over $280 million in grants each year. Planned Parenthood received around $60 million of that annually before the restriction. According to the Guttmacher Institute, about 1 in 4 clinics that received Title X funds had to leave the program in 2019 in response to the Trump-era policy. China has recently resumed purchases of Australian coal. Beijing had banned the imports for a year, but current power shortages in China seem to have left Beijing with few options. NTD's Tiffany Meyer has more.
The power shortage has changed many things in China, even Beijing's ban on Australian coal, it seems. Analysts say the coal is starting to make its way to China after the regime unofficially blocked its imports a year ago. Primer ACM shipbrokers analyst Nick Ristic tells the Financial Times a handful of Australian cargoes headed into berth last month. He said it's likely that about 450,000 tons of coal was unloaded. China's power crunch comes at a time of surging domestic demand, pushing coal prices to record highs. Australia used to send up to 12 megatons of coal to China each month. According to energy consulting group Wood Mackenzie, they say that number plunged to effectively zero after Beijing's ban last October. China typically imports about 1 megaton of coal per day, so the recent release is not likely to have big impact on the country's needs. A Beijing-based trader told Reuters the shortage could last till the end of heating season, or February or March. Before the ban, Australia was China's second largest supplier after Indonesia. 60% of the imported Australian coal was for industries like power generation and cement production. 40% was for steel manufacturing. Exports from other key suppliers have reportedly been limited by transportation and weather conditions. A Reuters report says China's coal imports dropped 10% on the year for the first 8 months. But in August, imports soared in tight domestic supplies. That triggered coal price hikes from multiple suppliers. And these soaring prices are estimated to stay steady in the coming months.
The director of the National Institutes of Health, Dr. Francis Collins, is going to step down. He has served the NIH for 12 years, which makes him the longest-serving director appointed by a president. NTD's Allison Lee has more.
Dr. Francis Collins said in a statement Tuesday he's stepping down as NIH director by the end of the year. He calls it a difficult decision and goes on to say, "I fundamentally believe, however, that no single person should serve in the position too long, and that it's time to bring in a new scientist to lead the NIH into the future." Then President Obama appointed Collins in 2009. He is the only NIH director appointed by a president to serve under multiple administrations. During the past 12 years, NIH's budget grew by 38% from $30 billion in 2009 to $41 billion in 2021. Collins specializes in genome research. After stepping down, he will continue to lead his research lab at the National Human Genome Research Institute, which is part of NIH. During the CCP virus pandemic, the NIH has been under scrutiny over controversies related to the Wuhan Institute of Virology. Documents that were made public this year show that the NIH granted around $3 million of U.S. taxpayer money to the EcoHealth Alliance, a nonprofit organization. The EcoHealth Alliance then granted almost $600,000 to the Wuhan lab for bat coronavirus research. The Wuhan lab used the money in part to identify and alter bat coronaviruses likely to infect humans. The grant proposal by the EcoHealth Alliance says they were going to investigate the ecology, evolutionary biology, and transmission dynamics of bat coronaviruses at the human-wildlife interface. Both Collins and Dr. Anthony Fauci deny that the grants funded gain-of-function research at the Wuhan lab. But molecular biologist Dr. Richard Ebright says the public documents prove that the grants match the definition of gain-of-function research. Collins admitted in an interview in June that his agency had no control over what the Wuhan lab was doing. Collins did not mention the scandal in his resignation statement. Allison Lee, NTD News.
Republican Senate candidate Sam Brown is taking aim at Twitter. It comes after he found that his account was permanently suspended Monday morning without being told which tweets were in violation. But the company says that his suspension was a mistake. Here's Brown thanking supporters for their letters, saying paper mail is important amid alleged digital censorship, and also criticizing Twitter in July after his tweets were given a politically sensitive label, which he thought was because of his face, which was burned in an explosion in Afghanistan, a claim that Twitter denies.
And here's one of the reasons I love these messages is because they're paper. They're paper messages. And today, my Twitter account was actually permanently suspended. I hope this was just an error and we can get it back online, but I get a lot of messages on there as well. But no one will be able to censor these. So you can find our address at CaptainSamBrown.com, and please send me your messages. These are a great encouragement to me. We have individuals and companies, people who are supposed to be leading and serving Americans that are frankly crushing us.
Brown told Fox News big tech knows their days of one-sided censorship and divisive influence are numbered, with conservative voices like me in the Senate. He went on to say, I will not back down from this fight. Twitter has messed with the wrong soldier. Though Twitter emailed Brown saying the company unsuspended his account, and they gave background saying that their systems had removed multiple spam accounts in bulk, and his fell into that category. And Lieutenant Colonel Stuart Scheller, the Marine Corps officer put in pre-trial detention for criticizing the military leadership, has been freed. A source familiar with the matter told the Epoch Times that Scheller had submitted a request for resignation of his commission in lieu of a trial. But he could still face charges and trial in military court. Scheller was initially scheduled for a pre-trial confinement initial review hearing, and some military leaders had wanted to do it in secret. And the FBI has raided the NYPD, specifically the Sergeants Benevolent Association, or SBA. It's part of an ongoing investigation into the SBA's controversial president. NTD's Arian Pazdar is on the scene with more details.
We're in Tribeca, Lower Manhattan at the NYPD Sergeant Union headquarters. Early this morning, the FBI raided this building, looking for evidence of potential mail and wire fraud. Now, the agents did carry away boxes with potential evidence early this afternoon. The FBI also seized computer gear from the union's president, Ed Mullins' home in Long Island. Now, bystanders told us when they saw what was happening, they thought people were shooting a movie here.
It was definitely spectacular. I didn't think it was real. Even you coming in, I was like, is this a joke? Like, is this continuing the prank?
The FBI raid reportedly consisted of 8 agents, with 2 of them carrying boxes. One of the boxes contained a jacket and a backpack. The FBI did not provide any further details, but the Bureau did confirm the raid is in connection with an ongoing investigation. Mullins and Mayor Bill de Blasio had some disagreements in the past. And after the raid, de Blasio called Mullins a divisive voice.
You know what I've said about him, and I think a lot of what he has done has been really, really destructive, especially in the middle of a crisis where we're trying to unify and we're trying to get people through together. I think he's been a divisive voice. But that doesn't cause me to feel anything in this situation because I don't know what's happening. All I hear is an FBI raid. I don't know the specifics.
Neither Mullins nor the SBA responded to requests for comment. Arian Pazdar, NTD News, New York.
And a professional musician is left in awe after watching Shen in Portland, Maine last weekend. He calls it a picturesque work of art.
This was fantastic. It was a wonderful experience. I was so impressed with the music, the dance, the technology, the scenery. It was very, very deeply moving. It's just beautifully done. It's a picturesque work of art, really. Just a beautiful work of art.
David Brandis is a conductor and a retired professor of music. He saw Shen with his family last weekend. Having conducted many performances before, he said he was deeply impressed by the artistic skills of the performers.
I was especially impressed with the music as a musician. The coordination of the music with the interpretation of the dance was exquisite and very, very articulate. I was so impressed with it. I thought it was an outstanding performance.
When he said that in ancient Chinese times, music was used to heal, I think that's true even today. You feel it when you're in a place where fine music is being played. It just fills your soul and you heal. You're better. And the goodness that's within all human beings really comes through in something like this. It was incredibly moving, beautifully done, and something that we'll all keep with us for a very long time.
NTD News, Portland, Maine.
And now to France, where some among the clergy are believed to have sexually abused more than 200,000 children over the past 70 years. Are the findings of a major investigation released today. NTD's Natalia Nutting has that story.
An investigation into sexual abuse in the French Catholic Church has found that over 200,000 children were victims of abuse by clergy since 1950. An independent commission presented their report on Tuesday in Paris. The commission heads that the Church not only did not take the necessary measures to prevent abuse, but also failed to report abuse and sometimes knowingly put children in touch with predators. One abuse victim called the report a breakthrough.
Parce que oui, c'est un séisme, oui, c'est un ouragan.
It's an earthquake, a hurricane, a tsunami. When you see these numbers, it's so damning that no one can stay in denial, whether the Catholic Church or society as a whole.
Savignac was sexually abused by a priest at the age of 13. The man was found guilty by a French court 2 years ago. Savignac says that the conviction is an exception, stressing how hard it is for young Catholics to accuse representatives of the Church. He says the Church now has no choice but to compensate the victims.
It's not simply a couple of €1,000. With a little payment, we sweep it away. No, it's about real compensation based on the suffering of each person.
Savignac is also head of a victims' association, Parler et Reviver, and contributed to the probe. The revelations in France are the latest to hit the Roman Catholic Church, which has been rocked by sexual abuse scandals around the world over the past 20 years. After the report's presentation, the head of the French Conference of Bishops asked for forgiveness and promised to act. Natalia Nutting, NTD News.
Thanks for watching us on YouTube. Don't forget to catch all of our programs on TV. NTD Evening News is on every weekday at 6:30 p.m. Find your local NTD channel at ntd.com/TV.